And as I said last night, Daniel, if I'm a Celtic supporter, I'm very excited by this signing. Not only has the club shown the ambition that Celtic fans have been looking for in terms of being prepared to go the extra yard, I think they've probably paid a wee bit more than they initially had expected to pay for this player. But I still think there's the potential for it to turn into a bargain. From, as I said last night, I'm not going to claim to have seen loads of him. What I have seen of him, I'm very impressed in terms of his physicality, his aggression. He looks like a clinical finisher. He's going to wear the number 9 shirt. That will get revealed today. And I think that's the sort of Celtic signing that the fans have been demanding, that the Celtic board have been incapable of getting over the line. Look, I totally get it. There'll be Celtic fans saying, well, wait a second, all they've done here is replace 2 players that have left the club with 2 players. So it's they've got a twofer at this minute in time with Camilo Duran and Kasper Hogh. But I still think they deserve a bit of credit, because I think they've gone in hard here. I totally accept as well, and I would agree with people that are critical for the fact that here we are just less than a week before the season kicks off, and these deals are, there's still a lot of work to do, right? And we know that. But this is a good start from Celtic. The question, as we were saying last night, Daniel, is what happens next? Because, and I said it last night, there is always the feeling with this Celtic board that there's complacency around the next corner. They can't be complacent this summer. There's just too much for them to do. They've now got to get beasted into 2 more signings that they want to get done ahead of the weekend, as we talked about. But they've also then got to work out what's going on in the midfield department, because, is Callum McGregor, is he satisfied that his ambitions are being matched at the boardroom level? If so, is he going to sign a new contract? If not, what are you going to do about that? Rio Hatate, another one who wants to leave. Arnie Engels is a problem. Paulo Bernardo looks like his time might be up. And the question marks over Alistair Johnson. So this is a really positive for me start to Celtic's transfer window, but it could just as quickly turn on its head if it gets to a point where Martin O'Neill doesn't have what's required going into later into August, when players are starting to get sold from underneath his feet. And if Celtic end up in a situation where they're cash positive in terms of their trading model this summer, the Celtic fans, you know what the reaction is going to be. So yes, this is a good start. As I said, £11 million there or thereabouts for this particular deal. It could be another £11 million that will need to get spent on the next 2 targets. And then now we're already starting to hear rumours that these deals might not just be as straightforward as had seemed. The Celtic board need to be careful with that, because they've gone too far down the line. Celtic fans are quite excited with the thought of these two new arrivals to add to Kasper Hogh. So they've got the work cut out, Dan. But this, I think, having battered them over the head for so long, you've also then got to realise they have lived up to their side of the bargain with this signing. What comes next?
They've been accused a lot, Scott, Celtic, the board, of buying project players. But when you look at Camilo Duran and Høgh, the teams that they scored against last year in the Champions League, combined Man City twice, Inter, Atletico Madrid, Eintracht Frankfurt twice, Newcastle, Ajax, Benfica. I mean, they're 2 ready-made Champions League strikers.
I totally agree, Dan. And I agree with a lot of what Jacko said. I mean, it has been a bit slow and a bit laboured for Celtic in terms of the recruitment. So you can understand fans' kind of frustrations. But these 2 guys, they've went and signed 2 Champions League proven Champions League strikers for a combined 15-16 million quid. That's a decent start to your window, albeit maybe a wee bit late. And Jacko's right that the midfield obviously has to be addressed. Obviously they're after the boy Bauer, who could come in and strengthen that department. But I just think, with the 2 strikers coming in, the calibre of them, I mean, you look at the defence, and I know they need to add defensively as well. They need cover in certain positions. I just look at Celtic now and I look at that back four. First back four: Johnson, Carter, Vickers, Trusty, Tierney. 2 strikers up front, Duran and Høgh. I mean, that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent. I mean, Jacko says there's still a lot of work to be done, especially in the midfield area. But when you just look at that back four and those 2 strikers, I think it looks okay.